Hello there, you guys. Welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current transfer rumours and gossip. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So lots to negotiate on this video today, but going to give you a bit more of additional information in regards to Harry Maguire, as I have been updating you on a regular basis. So we do know Harry Maguire has been relentlessly linked with move to Manchester United. He's also been linked with move to Manchester City, but like I did say, I think Leicester City's valuation seems to be the stumbling block of Harry Maguire making his proposed move to Manchester United or Manchester City. Obviously we do know Harry Maguire has blatantly made it clear to Brendan Rodgers and his Leicester teammates that he does currently want to leave Leicester to rejuvenate his career and of course take his footballing career to the next level. And obviously Leicester have informed Harry Maguire that he can leave to join Manchester United or Manchester City as long as Manchester United or Manchester City are willing to pay a world record fee for him. I do believe Leicester do want in the access of at least £80 million, of course, if they are willing to offload the current player. Looking at ultimately, Leicester don't want to offload Harry Maguire. This is the main factor reason why they are demanding an extortionate amount, and this is why, of course, they have priced him out of the transfer market. So now, reportedly, Harry Maguire, reportedly, if he does come to Manchester United, wants to become a captain of Manchester United and all that. And I do believe, it would show fantastic leadership, Harry Maguire, if he did come to Manchester United. Obviously, we do know at this present time that Ashley Young is our current captain. Obviously, with Valencia he was, but obviously, Valencia currently left the club after serving 10 years with Manchester United. There's also been talks of Paul Pogba, becoming our permanent captain in the Premier League next season. He did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had revealed he had considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy going on into next season, in a bid, to try and convince him to remain with the football club and all that. So reportedly, Harry Maguire is demanding that he wants to be our current captain. Of course, if he does make his move to Old Trafford and all that. So obviously, reports are reflected out last weekend saying allegedly, we had agreed a world record fee of £80 million with Leicester for Harry Maguire. He did reportedly say, would pay £60 million up front, with £20 million in add-ons, which does potentially rise it to £80 million. He did allegedly say he was set to have a medical on Monday earlier on this week, but obviously it just got proven that there wasn't any credibility in that. So no fee has yet, come to an agreement, and I do believe the fee, is actually, currently the stumbling block and all that. But like I did say, Leicester City's valuation, does seem to be the current stumbling block. Obviously, reflecting back the other week, Sky Sports did report out saying that Manchester United had a £70 million bid turned down because reportedly, we're only willing to pay around £70 million for his services. And I would say in this market, at this day and age, probably £70 million is reasonable for Harry Maguire, but I do believe over £70 million, Leicester are basically asking for too much. And obviously, we've blatantly made it clear, we are not intending on overspending on our current transfer targets and all that. But I do believe, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified Harry Maguire as his number one defensive target. But Manchester United and Manchester City have held several talks with Leicester and all that over coming to an agreement on a deal. But Manchester United and Manchester City, of course, are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. I do believe we're willing to pay more than Man City, but of course City, I think, are only willing to pay in the excess around £60 million for his services. But reflecting back a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like the Manchester City were going to get Harry Maguire. I do believe Harry Maguire's first choice preference is Manchester City ahead of Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester City have been seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany. So I do believe his first choice preference, of course, has been Manchester City and all that. So a couple of weeks ago, it was looking like the City were going to get a deal over the line for him. Obviously, it did report out last Saturday that Harry Maguire had become infuriated with Leicester, blocking his proposed move to Manchester United or Manchester City. I do believe he left Leicester's training camp was earlier on this week and all that, because obviously, he had been training in France, Harry Maguire. But obviously, if Manchester United or Manchester City are not willing to meet that valuation, he could possibly, stay with Leicester and all that. But obviously, Brendan Rodgers now he's had his base say on it. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers is aware of the speculation. Like he updated you on yesterday, Brendan Rodgers has imposed a deadline on potential bids for Harry Maguire. So what he's basically saying is, he knows about Manchester United's interest, he knows about Manchester City's interest. He has been talking about, Man United and Manchester City's interest basically, and he's basically been discussing, the potential bids that have been put in for Harry Maguire. So what basically, Brendan Rodgers instructing Manchester United or Manchester City to do, if they do want to currently get the player is to hurry up about it now, because reportedly he's imposed a deadline on potential bids for Harry Maguire. But I do like Harry Maguire a lot, like I said, very, very good central defender, and I do believe, that's one of the pivotal areas, of course, where we do currently need to strengthen up, because I think, we've got issues defensively, and I think that defensive area has been a problem for quite some time. We haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic, since we had the likes of Ferdinand. They were fantastic centre-back partnerships, under the Alex Ferguson era, and I don't think we've had a defender to rebuild on, since we had the likes of Neville, Evra, Ferdinand, Vidic, and all that. Since that point, we haven't really had a defender to currently rebuild on. I do believe we need at least one central defender, because analysing it last season, we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games and all that, and that was our highest total, of course, in 40 years. So that just shows the issues, of course, we've currently got defensively. But there has been so many central defenders on our current agenda. But obviously, Harry Maguire now is our number one defensive target. We are all aware that he's going to cost us a substantial amount. But reflecting back last summer, our number one priority was to recommend a central defender to currently come in. But obviously, reflecting back last summer, the board weren't backing the signings that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend to come in. And obviously, one of the players Jose Mourinho wanted last summer, of course, was Harry Maguire. I do believe Mike Phelan's also instructed Manchester United to get a deal over the line for him, because actually, Mike Phelan, managed Harry Maguire, during his short tenure, with Hull. So obviously, Harry Maguire has played under Mike Phelan's guidance. But Harry Maguire is a really, really good central defender. He's nowhere near in the same calibre or level as Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, the most expensive defender in the world at the moment is Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk, who, of course, Liverpool paid £75 million for back in January 2018 and all that, and he's done really, really well for Liverpool. And you can't put Harry Maguire in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because I think Virgil van Dijk is regarded as the best centre half in the world. But I do believe Harry Maguire, if he came to Manchester United, he would blend in alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline fantastically well. And I think he's a really, really good player, is Harry Maguire. He's well Premier League proven. He has been at Leicester, 2 seasons. He's made 76 appearances for them in all competitions. Obviously, 69 of those appearances, of course, have come in the Premier League. He signed a new long-term contract with Leicester, last summer. So he is under contract with them until 2023. Leicester paid around £17 million for his services from Hull City and all that. He did serve a couple of years with Hull. I think he also had a loan to Wigan. And of course, when he was younger, he actually began his career with Sheffield United. Did Harry Maguire? But he's 26 years of age. He has still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him and all that. And plus, he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer. But Harry Maguire's defensive abilities are very, very good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. He's very, very good in the air. Like I said, he's not really fast, but I don't think that's currently an issue and all that. But I think Manchester United are keen on getting a deal over the line. So yeah, I think he will blend alongside Lindelof in our backline really, really well. I think if we do get a deal, if we can complete a transfer for Harry Maguire, I do believe Manchester United are willing to sell one central defender, because analysing it, we've got a lot of central defenders. I do believe we've got around 5 or 6. So I do believe we are willing to offload the likes of maybe Alex Tuanzebe, maybe Jones, maybe Rojo, maybe Smalling, and all that. There was actually talks about Lindelof being linked with Barcelona quite recently, but obviously Lindelof had dismissed speculation linking him with a move to Barcelona. So Lindelof probably won't be leaving the club, because he is flourishing at Manchester United. There was vast improvements in Victor Lindelof's game in his second season with Manchester United. Didn't really settle in his first season, Lindelof, but there was vast improvements in his game in his second season there with Manchester United. I think him and Harry Maguire, will blend very, very well, of course, in our current back line and all that. And as you all do know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recommend a number of young players coming that can grow, develop and emulate into superstars. I do believe we are moving away from the policy of signing them well established players. But like I said, there has been so many players on our current agenda, because basically, we do need to revitalise the squad. Some people have basically said, that midfield and that right wing is more essential than recommending them a central defender, to currently come in. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of the speculation, because he did say, there's been lots of speculation about players coming in and, of course, players going out. He has spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he basically said, we don't need to sell players, but he also said he's very, very adamant, that we haven't received any bids for our current players. But Solskjaer said, we don't need to currently overspend on our transfer targets. Obviously, so far this summer, we've spent £65 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and all that. And we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far, because they've done well in pre-season so far of Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka. And I do believe both players are going to exceed expectation levels at Manchester United. And I do believe they've got all the ingredients required to become huge successes at Manchester United. I say Daniel James is still a prospect. I'll still say, Daniel James, of course, is developing and all that. Still needs time to develop. And Wan-Bissaka, of course, I believe he's going to be our fullback for the next decade. Is Wan-Bissaka, but I've been very, very impressed with Wan-Bissaka, like I said. And I think we paid, a reasonable figure for Daniel James. I think we also paid a pretty reasonable figure for Wan-Bissaka. The much cheaper solution compared to what we paid for Lukaku and Pogba and that in recent years, because obviously Lukaku and Pogba are our two most expensive signings. Obviously, both players have been both relentless, linked to move away from the football club this summer. But with Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, I do believe they're going to do really, really well. But I believe we need more than Wan-Bissaka. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to want to build on this, and I do believe he's going to want to bring another couple of players in, before this current transfer window shuts. And there's only now 3 weeks now remain of this transfer window, so we have got to be basically more competitive. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say, we are looking to sign 1 or 2 more players, before this current window shuts. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has recently, spoken about our ambitions, going on into the Premier League next season, and he believes Manchester United, will be aiming for further up than 4th going on into this season and all that. This is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer currently thinks. But I said that probably our expectations will be that top 4 going on into this season, because analysing our current squad at the moment, it isn't good enough, to win the league or challenge for the league and all that. It depends if we can get a couple of more players in. But I did say at the moment our squad's not good enough, and I said regardless of who our manager is, even if we did have a manager, to the highest level, they would, currently struggle with this Manchester United squad at the moment. But hopefully, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, can get Manchester United back to glory and all that. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did say, he does believe, that Alex Ferguson, transformed him, of course, into a current winner and all that. But yeah, there's still lots that needs to be addressed in the squad. I think we need to sell players, to help us generate funds and, of course, rebuild the squad without a shadow of a doubt. But, some people have said, we should be sensible over our current recruitment and all that, because we've got a history of spending big on players, and a lot of money's been spent at the club, over the years, since Alex Ferguson and that retired. But I probably think anyway our aspirations, will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons and all that. So we will, currently see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to give you the latest news about Harry Maguire. So reported now, he wants to be Manchester United captain, of course, if he does complete his move to Manchester United. As I did give you the news in regards to Bruno Fernandes yesterday, as I give you an update on it, says reportedly, we are preparing to put a bid in for Bruno Fernandes. It did say yesterday in the coming hours. I do believe we're willing to offer in the region around £50 million for his services, because reportedly we're not willing to pay what Sporting Lisbon are demanding, because Sporting Lisbon have said they want around £70 million. This is this is what they've quoted out that they currently want. Manchester United are reportedly not willing to pay £70 million. So like I did say, it's a similar sort of thing with Harry Maguire. With Harry Maguire, the fee seems to be the stumbling block, and same with Sporting Lisbon, more or less. The fee seems to be the stumbling block, because we're not willing to pay £70 million for his services. I do believe no official bid has been made yet by Manchester United to Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes, but it reportedly said yesterday we were set to make our first bid in the coming hours for Bruno Fernandes and all that. So I do believe that Bruno Fernandes' agent is actually arrived to the UK to hold talks with Manchester United. I do believe he may be holding talks with Tottenham, because obviously Tottenham have expressed their interest in Bruno Fernandes. Also Liverpool and that have been in there for him. I do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent was in the UK quite a few weeks ago to allegedly thrash out a deal with Manchester United for Bruno Fernandes. So basically, Bruno Fernandes' agent is looking for the best possible deal for his current client and all that. But for the entirety of the summer, Bruno Fernandes has been linked with move to Manchester United and all that. And like I did say, the situation with Paul Pogba, is not having any effect on Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United. So Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent, of course, on what happens with Paul Pogba, because regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba anyway, I still think it's initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, to add two new reinforcements in that midfield. But I do believe, the actual valuation, seems to be the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes making his proposed move to Manchester United. I do believe Bruno Fernandes has informed his representatives that his preference is a move to Manchester United. So he's reportedly turned down Tottenham. He's also, turned down Liverpool and all that. And I do believe Bruno Fernandes held negotiations with his agent. He's held negotiations with his agent about a potential move to Manchester United. So it reportedly said, we've offered him a contract. So we've offered him around 5.5 million a year, which does equate to around 100 grand a week. So if he comes to Old Trafford, he could be set to earn around £100,000 a week and all that. But I still want Manchester United, to get this deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes, because I do really, really like him a lot. I think he's primarily attacking midfielder. He is only 24 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes. His initial release clause is around £88 million. Obviously, Manchester United are not determined to go anywhere near that figure. So he's under contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023. Obviously, he did sign this 5-year contract last summer and all that. And he has been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. But if Bruno Fernandes comes to Manchester United, I think he'll exceed expectation levels. He'll bring us them goals that we need in that midfield. He'll rejuvenate the team and all that. And I think, he would be absolutely fantastic for Manchester United. So his agent has come to the UK again to hold talks with Manchester United. So basically, he's looking for the best possible deal for his client. Sporting Lisbon themselves, though, haven't been quite reliable, this summer. Because obviously, going back, was it 8 or 9 weeks ago now, they assured that Bruno Fernandes was going to be going to Manchester City. But obviously, he's moved to Manchester City, of course, and never materialised, because I do believe, Manchester City had currently withdrawn their interest. More reports came out about Bruno Fernandes last week, saying that, Manchester United had held more talks with Sporting Lisbon. He did reply out last week saying that Manchester City, had held talks with Sporting Lisbon. But Federico Varandas, who's the president of Sporting Lisbon, he's aware of the speculation, and he's even said, there has been talks, with Bruno Fernandes in regards to his future and all that. So he's blatantly made it clear, I think, Bruno Fernandes, that he does currently want to leave Sporting Lisbon. He did actually say a couple of weeks ago that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not getting backed on this particular signing and all that, because it said reportedly the board have got concerns about bringing a player in, bringing a player in who's got little experience to the highest level. And it did say the actual Manchester United board believe that he's currently too expensive. So reportedly we're only willing to pay around £50 million his services. And it actually said Ed Woodward had said no to Bruno Fernandes and all that. But like I said, he would dramatically improve us in that current midfield. And I do believe we do need two new additions in that current midfield and all that. But yeah, he scored 31 goals, or was it 32 goals in all competitions last season for Sporting Lisbon. But his transfer saga to Manchester United, of course, does continue to persist. So we may even make, there's only 3 weeks now remaining, so we may even make only one more signing in this current transfer window. I hope we can get another 2 in at least, because that's what Manchester United, of course, do currently need. But yeah, Sporting Lisbon have basically made it clear, they do want around £70 million for his current services. Obviously, as I've been updating you in regards to Paul Pogba, obviously we do know Paul Pogba has been relentlessly linked with move away from the football club. I do believe, based on the extortionate amount that we have put on Paul Pogba, this could be the stumbling block of him, making his proposed move away from Manchester United and all that. I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing everything he can, to try and convince Paul Pogba to remain at the football club, because I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player that currently Paul Pogba is, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is working on keeping his imperative players at the football club. I did say it's going to be hard for us to attract players to the elite level because we're not in Champions League football. It's also going to be hard for us to convince our imperative players to stay at the football club because we're not in a Champions League football and all that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has held talks with Paul Pogba in regards to his long-term future. Obviously, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, he came out the other week saying that Paul Pogba is in the process of leaving Manchester United and all that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says Manchester United can rebuild around Paul Pogba. He also says, he's told Paul Pogba that Paul Pogba does not need to leave, of course, to fulfil his ambitions. But he's been talking a lot about Paul Pogba quite recently, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he's been talking about Paul Pogba's, ambitions for next season, and Sanchez's ambitions and that for next season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does want to stay at the football club. He did say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, had revealed that he had considered, he's considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy at Manchester United, going on into this season, to try and convince him, of course, to remain at the football club. He did reportedly say, we are willing to open contract negotiations again, with Paul Pogba to try and convince him again to remain at the football club and all that. But obviously, reports indicated out, was it last month, saying that, Paul Pogba seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United and all that. So he has made it clear that, of course, that he does currently want to leave the club. Obviously, we're very adamant that Paul Pogba's not for sale. It did say, we were demanding that one around £150 million, but actually reports did indicate out last weekend, saying that reportedly now we have risen our asking price up, and it reportedly says, we want around £180 million. So basically, we are in that, in that aspect, we are demanding more than double than what we, initially paid for him from Juventus, back in 2016. Because obviously, we did pay £8 to £9 million for Paul Pogba, and obviously, we do know Paul Pogba hasn't been the player as we all thought, he would have been. He hasn't really lived up to expectation levels, but I'd still say in this market, this day and age, Paul Pogba is worth around 150 or 160 million pounds and all that. But like I did say, based on the extortionate amount, we've put on him, this means Paul Pogba, could remain at the football club. But we do know Paul Pogba's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. He's obviously been linked with a move to Juventus, but I do believe for quite some time that Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid. I do believe his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid and all that. Obviously, Real Madrid are not willing to pay £150 million for Paul Pogba, so not keen on a straight cash payment. I do believe Real Madrid are trying to offload around a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that £150 million valuation. I do believe Manchester United have held talks previously, with Real Madrid about discussing about, the sale and that with Paul Pogba. But obviously, I think Paul Pogba is keen on playing under Zinedine Zidane's guidance. Real Madrid themselves so far this summer have got 5 players on the board. Obviously, they spent over £300 million. But Real Madrid, I think, are desperate to include Gareth Bale in their bid to sign Paul Pogba and all that. But with Juventus, like I said, obviously, they'd stepped their interest up at least in the last 3 weeks and all that. Obviously, Juventus themselves have done good business this summer. I think they've got De Ligt on the board now. They've got Adrian Rabiot. They've got Aaron Ramsey. They also got Ronaldo last summer. So they've done good business this summer. So I do believe Juventus would have to offload one or two of their essential players, to fund the move for Paul Pogba. Because I do believe, they won't be able to afford Paul Pogba outright. The Juventus director was recently speaking about how much Juventus do love Paul Pogba, because Paul Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin, but he hasn't really replicated this form since he did make the return to Manchester United and all that. But like I did say, he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his contract on Manchester United.
Morning, John.
Morning.
I've just been checking my mum phone. She said it's nice for Joyce not to take you away.
Is it?
Yeah, I said, we're going. I said, soon as Charlie's gone, we're going on Monday at 19 for 2 nights.
Is it?
Oh, we're off to Bridles, fella.
2 years left on his... What?
Bev said, what we can do is, if you're coming over to Brid,
Yeah.
on bus,
Yeah.
Bev said, what we can do is text Jane and we'll meet him.
Alright.
So we can meet him, Brid, and have a drink over there, can't we?
Yeah. 2 years left on his contract with an option to extend it by a further year, and he is on around 290 grand a week and all that. But his agent has been in the process of finding a new club at least for the last couple of months and all. I'd say for the last 2 to 3 months. Obviously, since he rejoined the club in 2016, he scored 31 goals in 135 games and all that. Obviously, won the Europa League and the League Cup. This came in his second season and that with Manchester United. But he was subject to a lot of transfer speculation last year, under the Jose Mourinho era and all that. I think there was talks about him going to Juventus last year. There was talks about him going to Barcelona, back in the January transfer window and all that. But Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho, of course, departed the football club. And we have seen glimpses of his best form, and I think he's really done really well in pre-season so far. As Paul Pogba, got a great assist against Perth Glory. Was unlucky not to score him against Leeds and all that. So I probably do believe he's still a long-term solution for Manchester United. We mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 3 months as interim manager, that's when we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba, because he was in scintillating form, he was scoring goals, he was providing them and all that. But I still probably say it's a long-term solution for Manchester United. Still 26 years of age in his prime, still got a lot of years ahead of him and all that. But I do believe he wants to rejuvenate his career. Maybe the couple of main factors why he wants to leave the club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, and maybe he thinks he's not playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, and maybe also he's frustrated there with lack of competitiveness, and maybe this is why, of course, he does currently want to leave Manchester United and all that. Yeah. Maybe he does currently want to leave Manchester United and all that. But I think if we did sell him, if we sell Lukaku as well, I think it'll help us with our rebuilding process, of course, and it will help us with our transition. And I do believe we could probably generate around, £200 million, for the departures of Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku and all that. But, we'll currently see what happens. And if Paul Pogba does leave the football club, obviously, we definitely are going to need a current replacement for him and all that. But he's been heavily linked to a move to Real Madrid, and of course, he has been linked to a move to Juventus. So Paul Pogba now could possibly remain at the football club. But obviously there's been few players on our agenda, who could replace Paul Pogba. Obviously there was a lot of talks going on last week, about Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio and all that. And Milinkovic-Savic, I think maybe his move to Manchester United is dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. Sky in Italy, did report out last week saying that reportedly Manchester United submitted around the £72 million bidding for Milinkovic-Savic. I do believe this is too insufficient for Lazio, because I do believe Lazio are looking for somewhere in the region of £90 million. I do believe last week Manchester United held their talks with Lazio. I do believe his agent had travelled to the UK the other week, to reportedly hold their talks and that with Manchester United. So initially looking at it, Lazio have lowered their asking price, because obviously last summer they wanted in the region of around £108 million. Manchester United, of course, have been relentlessly linked to a move for Milinkovic-Savic. I do believe he's been linked to a move to Manchester United for the past year now. He's 24 years of age, and of course he is Serbian. I think he's primarily a central midfielder. Can he also plays an attacking midfielder, but I think he's mainly a box-to-box midfielder. He's been at Lazio 4 years. I think he's scored 31 goals in 138 games. He signed a new deal with Lazio last October, so I think he's under contract with them till 2023. I think he has been inconsistent in the last 5 or 6 months as Milinkovic-Savic, but I still believe he's proven in the majority of his 4-year period he has been at Lazio that he can score goals, he can create chances and all that. I think quite a few teams have been in there for him, but he did say we are preparing a £72 million bid. More than likely this is going to be rejected by Lazio, because they're looking for somewhere in the region of around £90 million. So reportedly, he's been currently on our agenda. With the news about Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, I do believe now him to Manchester United is going to be off now, because I do believe we have withdrawn our interest, or we are going to withdraw our interest in Sean Longstaff, because obviously Newcastle have indicated out that he's not currently for sale. From a Newcastle perspective, they believe that Sean Longstaff is committed to the club and all that, and they've basically said if they were willing to offload him, they would want in the access around £50 million. So Newcastle are demanding at least £50 million. Of course, if they are willing to offload Sean Longstaff, I can't see Manchester United willing to pay this, because I do believe this is an extortionate amount that Newcastle are demanding and all that. Obviously Sky Sports did report the other week saying that we've held high level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff, but obviously Manchester United have not put any official bidding as yet. He did say we was orchestrating on putting around the £30 million bidding for Sean Longstaff, but obviously this is going to be too insufficient, because Newcastle want somewhere in the region around £50 million. Obviously Solskjaer had actually instructed Manchester United to get a deal over the line for Sean Longstaff and all that. And initially, it only says, we value Sean Longstaff from between 18 and 20 million pounds, and basically, Newcastle are demanding currently more than double this. Sean Longstaff is 21 years of age. I still would say he's inexperienced at the moment, really. He's got a bit of experience under his belt. He only made his debut for Newcastle in December of last year and all that, and I think he thrived under Rafa Benitez's guidance. I think, reflecting on his impressive performances in the second half of last season, I think he did get a new contract, so he signed a contract with Newcastle till 2022, so he did sign a 4-year contract. Obviously, he didn't play the last couple of months of last season due to a knee ligament injury he had sustained, and I still believe he's recovering from this injury now at this current present time, and I thought we'd been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafa Benitez, but I think, Newcastle, don't currently want to offload the current player. Also, Newcastle have lost Perez, but Sean Longstaff, 21 years of age, plus he's British, and all, like I said, mainly a box-to-box midfielder. Sean Longstaff actually began his career with Newcastle, so he was a product of their academy. I think he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock, Blackpool, and all that. But Manchester United have not put any official bidding for him as yet, but Manchester United have held talk, with Newcastle for quite some time. But I do believe now he's moved to Manchester United, he's currently, going to be off and all that. Because like we said, we're not willing to overspend on our current transfer tax, but we've got to get some midfielders in. Like I said, I thought we overpaid for Fred. We paid £50 million for Fred last summer under the Jose Mourinho era. Fred hasn't got a fantastic pedigree. I thought Fred was actually really, really good player at Shakhtar Donetsk. I thought he was really good at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he hasn't really replicated this, of course, at Manchester United. But, we paid £50 million for Fred, and I think we did overpay for the player. Let's be honest, Fred didn't really get the chance under the Jose Mourinho era, but I think towards the back end of last season, Fred did put some good performances out. Obviously, Fred has not played on tour yet, because obviously he didn't travel to Australia, obviously, due to family reasons, but obviously, Fred is going to get his opportunity probably in Singapore, I should presume, because obviously he's going to be linking up with the squad in Singapore and all that. So I'm still very, very sceptical about Fred if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. You've got McTominay. McTominay is inexperienced at the moment, but I think this pre-season is very beneficial for McTominay, because obviously he's going to get a bit more experience under his belt. I do believe McTominay is going to get more of the chance going on into the Premier League this season. We've got Matic. Matic has been a huge disappointment so far in pre-season. I believe he's had 2 bad games. I think he's too slow. Matic is too inconsistent, too ineffective in that midfield, and he isn't getting any younger. Of course, Matic, he's aging up and all that. And, I think we should get rid of Nemanja Matic. So we've definitely got to address that midfield. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer arrived, obviously, we've seen 3 players depart the club. Valencia left after he served 10 years at Manchester United, so he was a long-serving player. And Herrera, of course, left on a free transfer. And, of course, we saw Fellaini leave back in the January transfer window as well. So, yeah, we've definitely got to get a replacement for Ander Herrera. Like I did currently say, I do believe we need to sell Darmian and Rojo, because I do believe Darmian and Rojo have both endured difficult times at Manchester United. Darmian, because he hasn't really been given the opportunity. Darmian's been here since Louis van Gaal era, and with Marcus Rojo, I think his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, with the amount of injuries he's currently sustained. But I do believe we can generate around 25 or £30 million for their departures. With Alexis Sanchez, like I did say about him, I'm very, very sceptical about Sanchez leaving the football club. I do believe he's going to continue applying his trade with Manchester United, going on into this season. I am very adamant that Sanchez has not, played in pre-season yet. I still believe Sanchez is currently injured at the moment. I think he's set to recover from his injury in late July. I think he will get his chance in pre-season and all that. But for the majority of the summer, we've been trying to get rid of Alexis Sanchez. But obviously, the club have found it very difficult to offload him, reflecting on his substantial wages. Obviously, his wages are having a really bad effect on the football club. Maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, believes that Sanchez can get back to his best. Obviously, Sanchez has not yet lived up to expectation levels at Manchester United. We did get him back in January 2018, and that from Arsenal as part of a swap deal with Mkhitaryan, and he's been very disappointing there for Manchester United. Sustained quite a few injuries there last season. When he's been given the chance, he's lacked goals. He's been so inconsistent. Analysing it, Sanchez really hasn't got a future at the club. How old is he now? Is he 30? 31 years of age. So I would like Manchester United to offload him, because he's actually one of the problematic players. But I think he will now end up remain at Manchester United, because find it difficult to offload him, because he's on 400 grand a week, potentially rise up to 500 grand a week, based on the image rights and the bonuses. So Sanchez is the highest paid player at the club. He's also a highest paid player in the Premier League. And Sanchez did have 4 good years at Arsenal. He also even played under Pep Guardiola's guidance at Barcelona, when he was younger, and he did really, really well, but it just hasn't replicated, any of this Manchester United. So far, he has been a huge disappointment. As I've been updating you on a regular basis with regards to Romelu Lukaku and all that. Obviously, we do know Lukaku has been relentlessly linked to move away from Manchester United. Obviously, we do know for the entirety of the summer, Lukaku has been speaking about his proposed move to Inter Milan. Now, reportedly, Inter Milan are set to meet our £75 million valuation, because actually our valuation has seemed to be the stumbling block for the majority of this summer. Seems to be the stumbling block, of Lukaku making his proposed move to Inter Milan, because we've said we want around 75 or 80 million pounds. We're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago, or we maybe even orchestrate on, you know, gain a little bit of a profit and all that. But yeah, he's been heavily linked to move to Inter Milan. Obviously, talks have been ongoing for several weeks between Inter Milan and Manchester United. Obviously, I think if we do get rid of Lukaku, it will be beneficial for us. It'll also be beneficial for Lukaku himself, because initially, you know, Lukaku has lost his place in the team, and obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer last week had held talks over on Lukaku, you know, pleading him to stay at the club for one more season, because I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much of an imperative player that Lukaku is, even though he has initially lost his place in the team. But I do believe Lukaku has increasingly, you know, become frustrated, you know, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think Lukaku is unhappy with the way that he's been treated in the past 6 months, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference is Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku, and of course Lukaku is currently unhappy about this. But Lukaku's blatantly made it clear, of course, that he does want to leave Manchester United, and of course if he does leave the football club, obviously, you know, we are currently going to need a replacement for him. So reportedly now, Inter Milan are reportedly, you know, willing to meet our £75 million valuation. Inter Milan, of course, do want payments to be structured and all that. So I think, you know, they're willing to meet our £75 million valuation, but with only bonus payments, you know, included in the deal. So reportedly, Inter Milan are set to pay a guaranteed £60 million over the course of the next 2 to 3 years and all that. So reportedly, Inter Milan are willing to pay around £40 million up front, with then £20 million in the next 3 years and all that. And then there's going to be there's also £15 million add-ons, you know, depending on how, you know, Lukaku does perform at the San Siro. I do believe more than likely Manchester United, you know, will turn this offer down. Obviously, you know, we've obviously, you know, already turned an offer down from Inter Milan, because obviously Inter Milan made a 2-year loan offer with around £9 million up front, with then the obligation to buy for the further £54 million at the end of the loan. But again, you know, Manchester United didn't entertain this offer because we're only willing to let Lukaku go on a permanent deal. Obviously, Inter Milan have tried offering us, you know, Icardi and, you know, Perisic and Radja Nainggolan as part of the deal for Lukaku. But like I said, you know, we didn't entertain these swap offers that Inter Milan had currently made. But like they couldn't say, actually, you know, reported out, was it last month, or was it a couple of months ago now, saying that, you know, Lukaku had agreed to personal terms with Inter Milan. It also said he agreed a contract worth around 180 grand a week, but obviously, you know, no figures yet come to an agreement. It reported out last week that, you know, Inter Milan sporting director, it was last Friday actually, that Inter Milan sporting director had travelled to the UK. Well, yeah, he travelled to the UK, so he held talks in London with Manchester United, you know, to thrash out a deal for Romelu Lukaku and all that. But we do know Antonio Conte has identified, you know, Romelu Lukaku as his number one target. Reflecting back a couple of years ago, Antonio Conte, you know, wanted Romelu Lukaku. This is when he was Chelsea manager, but of course he ended up making the move to Manchester United. And obviously, I think Lukaku himself is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance, because probably believes he will flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance and all that. But yeah, Lukaku's still 26 years of age, but I think we need to get rid of him because he's one of the problematic players in the club. I've got, you know, you do know that I've got strong concerns about him. I'll credit Lukaku, you know, his ratio is very, very good in the Premier League. You know, his goal scoring pedigree is absolutely fantastic in the Premier League. But I think Lukaku, you know, does currently need to leave the football club. Simon Stones did report out from the BBC last week. The BBC is actually it's a very reliable source. I think Simon Stones also reliable, and he did say last week that Lukaku, when he's set to stay at the football club, you know, based on the extortionate amount, you know, we have currently put on him. And I do believe, you know, we overpaid for Lukaku. We overpaid for him, you know, paid £75 million for him. There was actually 15 million add-ons included, so he did potentially rise it to £90 million. He has still got 3 years left on his contract. You know, he has been at the club 2 years. He scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions. Lukaku was exceptional in his first season, but he didn't really replicate that form, of course, in his second season and all that. So yeah, he's been heavily linked to move to Inter Milan. But yeah, Inter Milan have been trying to offload a couple of their players anyway, you know, to help them generate funds, you know, to meet that 75 or 80 million pound valuation. So it did say earlier on this week in Sky Sports that Inter Milan, you know, were preparing to make a new bid for him. But obviously, you know, Inter Milan, you know, do want payments to be currently structured. But if Lukaku does leave the football club, I think, you know, we definitely need a replacement for him. You know, I know we've got the likes of Mason Greenwood. Obviously, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has assured Mason Greenwood, you know, more playing time going on into this season. Mason Greenwood is going to get promoted into the first team and all that. He's done well on pre-season so far. He also did very, very well for the reserves and all that. But he's still inexperienced at the moment. But with this pre-season, he's going to gain a bit more experience under his belt. You know, we've got Chon and that. I thought Chon's played well in pre-season so far. He's played really, really well. But he's still inexperienced at the moment. You know, we've got Rashford and Martial and all that. With Rashford and Martial, they're still both very, very, you know, I don't think they've like quite emulated to that level yet. It's going to take them maybe a year, maybe 2 years, you know, to get them to that level where they do currently want to be. So I think we need a replacement replacement definitely for Romelu Lukaku. You know, who would you bring in as his replacement? Now, there's people talking about Wissam Ben Yedder from Sevilla. I think Wissam Ben Yedder, based on his experience, I think he would be the right type of player for Manchester United and all that. Obviously, his initial release cost is around £36 million. You know, reports came out about this, was it 3 weeks ago, saying that Manchester United were in for Wissam Ben Yedder. His goal scoring pedigree is really, really good, to be fair. He scored 31 goals last season, didn't he? Or was it 30 goals in around 54 games in all competition last season? You know, he's been at Sevilla 3 years. He's under contract with them until 2021, and he's, of course, 28 years of age. So we've identified him as a possible replacement for Lukaku. Some people would say Moussa Dembele would be a good replacement for him. Some people say, you know, Mario Cardi would be a good replacement for him. Again, Mario Cardi's goal scoring pedigree is very, very good. You know, he's done very, very well in Italy. So who should replace Romelu Lukaku in the football club? Now, as I did actually update you yesterday about Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, I updated you about him yesterday, but before that, I updated you about him, was it around 4 or 5 weeks ago? Because this story was actually stemming from Andy Goldstein, who was the presenter of TalkSport, and he actually said Manchester United are interested in signing Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang and all that. So this is stemming from Andy Goldstein. Reports were stemming from the Italian press yesterday, saying that reportedly Manchester United have lodged around a £62 million bidding for Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang. It actually said quite some time back that he allegedly agreed a transfer to Manchester United in Aubameyang. I do believe Aubameyang's also been heavily linked to move to China, so he has been reportedly been offered around 300 grand a week to go play in the Chinese Super League. I'm very, very adamant that Aubameyang isn't going to be signing a new contract with Arsenal. I do believe Arsenal are open to selling the player, because as you all know, Arsenal have got a tight budget this summer. They've only got around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend. I do believe Arsenal have done business so far this summer. I think they're still inquiring about Kieran Tierney. I think they have got William Saliba in that on the board. I think they also got someone else. But Arsenal themselves need to sell players, to help them generate funds and, of course, rebuild their squad. I do believe Arsenal will want to at least recruit the initial £56 million that they did pay for Aubameyang back in January 2018, because Arsenal did pay a club record fee for him of £56 million. But he has delivered the goods to Arsenal. I've always liked Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang, especially in Germany and his days with Borussia Dortmund. But he's now 30 years of age, of course, so he's aging up. He's got 2 years left on his contract with Arsenal. But I think Aubameyang, has got that proven. He's got that proven pedigree as playing as a central striker, because he is predominantly a central striker. He can also play out wide, so you can put him on the left, you can put him on the right, and all that. But I think his goal scoring pedigree is absolutely fantastic. With Arsenal, I think he scored 22 goals in 36 Premier League games last season, so he did win the Golden Boot, and he was joint top goal scorer alongside Salah and Sadio Mane and all that. And I think in all competitions for Arsenal last season, Aubameyang scored 31 goals and all that. So I think Arsenal are open to selling the player. So reportedly, we've lodged around a £62 million bidding for him. Like I said, Arsenal did pay him around £56 million for his services. But yeah, like I said, Manchester United and Arsenal have done business in the past. Obviously. Well, yeah, we have, because we got Sanchez in January 2018 as part of a swap deal for Mkhitaryan. They got Welbeck from us, was it around 4 or 5 years ago now? And obviously, we got Robin van Persie from them back in 2012 and all that. And you can, in Ferguson's last season, really, you can say that Robin van Persie won us the league. That's in Ferguson's last season. Reflecting on the amount of goals he'd currently scored. So I'd say with Aubameyang, if he was to actually make the move to Manchester United, I think he would make a sort of similar impact, to as Robin van Persie did and all that. I did say there wasn't a lot of credibility in Aubameyang to Manchester United, didn't I? But you never know. But this maybe just be the media, speculating or basically justifying their existence for the majority of this story. But it has said we've put around the £60 million bidding for him. It says we was reportedly preparing to pay up to £70 million for Aubameyang's services. But I think he would be definitely an absolutely fantastic replacement for Lukaku. He's got that now experience of playing in the Premier League. He's been in the Premier League since January 2018. So he's been in the Premier League about a year and a half now, something like that. But yeah, a very, very good player indeed. But like I said, hopefully it works out under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I did clearly say. Like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did arrive. He arrived he became our caretaker manager in December. On 19th of December, following dismissal of course of Jose Mourinho, and it went well when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. We won our first 8 games and all that. We won 14 games out of 19 in total, and then obviously after 3 months, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got the job permanently on the 28th of March, and then obviously, we only won 2 games out of 10, so obviously, it all went wrong since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got the job permanently. Obviously, it went all basically, went wrong, but I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like I did Killian say. Last season we finished 6th, we didn't win any silverware, so we've got to definitely see vast improvements going on into this season. But like I said, yeah, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was a great player for Manchester United, don't forget, for 11 years under Alex Ferguson. And I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy and all that. He's got a bit of experience as a manager. Like I said, he proved himself as interim manager, with Manchester United in his first 3 months. He won a couple of Norwegian titles there with Moldham and all that. He only had a short tenure with Cardiff, didn't really work out for him at Cardiff. Solskjaer obviously watched some of this team at this day and age grow and develop, because obviously, he managed the Manchester United reserve team for a couple of years and all that. But like I said, I hope it works out, because we haven't got the structure, to keep sacking managers. We've already sacked 3 managers since Alex Ferguson retired and all that. But yeah, still lots needs to be addressed in the squad. Obviously, we do know now David De Gea is staying, which is very, very good. He's on the brink of signing a new contract. Obviously, Solskjaer did confirm in his press conference, I think this was before the Leeds game, that obviously he's indicated that David De Gea is close to signing a new contract. He just basically said it's up to the club, and it's up to David, when it is announced and all that he's going to be signing a new contract. I think it's going to be a 5-year deal. It's worth around £91 million over 5 years, which obviously equates to around 350 grand a week. So that 350 grand a week figure is obviously going to make him the best paid goalkeeper in world football and all that. But we've been in talks of trying to get David De Gea a new contract at least for the last 18 to 19 months. Obviously, for a very, very long time, the club basically were not willing to meet his 350 grand a week wage demands and all that. But it came out a couple of weeks ago saying that there was breakthrough in negotiations, between George Mendes, who was David De Gea's agent, and of course the club and all that. But we do know how imperative David De Gea is, so he's going to get around the £150,000 pay rise, because he's on 200 grand a week at the moment when his current deal. But he's been a great servant here. He has been here 8 years. At one point, it was looking very likely he was going to be leaving, because he's been linked with Real Madrid for quite a lot of years now. PSG were in for him and all that. I think Juventus were also in for him. But now we're willing to meet his wage demands. He's going to be staying at the football club, so he will be on the contract with Manchester United till 2024. So I do presume this will take him to around the age of 33 or 34, because I do believe he's around 28 or 29 now, David De Gea. But he's had a great career with Manchester United. We've allegedly had 300 grand a week for him on the table since the turn of the year, but this is too insufficient for De Gea. But like I said, he's been a great servant to the football club. He's won everything here domestically. He's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. I know David De Gea was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I do believe that was mainly to do with the contractual situation and all that. So very, very good news that De Gea is starting. De Gea has not played, played on tour at the moment, but he definitely will get given him his chance. I do believe he's ill at this present time. This is why I didn't play him against Leeds. Like I said with Lukaku, he hasn't played yet because obviously he sustained a knock. I think he had a niggle injury. That's why he didn't play against Perth Glory, and of course he sustained a knock. This is why he didn't play him in the Leeds game and all that. But like I did say, Fred, Diamond, and Dean Henderson, are going to be linking up the squad in Singapore, because obviously they haven't yet participated on tour as well. Luke Shaw will get a bit more additional information about him. He didn't play against Leeds. Even though initially he did train on Monday, Luke Shaw, but Solskjaer did say in his press conference he might not risk him and all that, because obviously he had sustained an hamstring injury against Perth Glory, where he did currently have to come off. But we do know how imperative Luke Shaw is, because Luke Shaw is a very, very good player. He won the Player of the Year last season as well. But we know how essential he is. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. We will be coming up with Manchester United Inter Milan preview very, very soon. If you do consider, drop your likes as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.